12 watching now. All right. Is everybody? Hey. All right. Wonderful. Welcome, everybody. We're giving everybody a chance to kind of get moved over to the new link. Wonderful. We got a little bit of a delay, so let's try to work that out. Giving everybody a chance to kind of get moved over to the new link. Wonderful. We got a little bit of a delay, so let's try to work that out. Are we good now? Yep. All right. All right. So today we are going to be making a couple non-dairy items. So if you're looking for that today, here's going to be your day. My name is Brian Albrecht. I am a chef ambassador for Carpigiani North America. So we're glad you were able to join us today, and we will try to value your time. And I've done some preparing ahead of time so that you can get the meat of everything and move on with your day and hopefully go out and make these products soon. We're going to first start out with preparing our pineapple passion fruit sorbet. So we're going to make a pineapple passion fruit sorbet and a coconut-based non-dairy frozen dessert with a mango swirl and some toasted coconut. But we need this sorbet base to chill down. So we're going to start with getting that all mixed up and prepared so that we can chill it while we're making our coconut base, okay? That means we're going to have to do a little another extra rinse on our machine, but that's not that big of a deal. We can handle that. So to make your sorbet base, what I've done ahead of time, just so you know, is I've taken the seedless passion fruit. We did find some that was actually in a grocery store. So passion fruit seedless cubes, great, made it very convenient because cutting a passion fruit and getting all the seeds out does take some extra time. So this was nice to have that done. We have pineapple, and we took the pineapple chunks, fresh pineapple, and we basically pulverized that. We did that same thing with the passion fruit, by the way. The pineapple, we just made sure to pulverize it in like an immersion blender. Maybe a food processor would work really great for you at home. But we're now going to take that and we're going to push it through a sieve here just to kind of get any of the big chunks. Just really want the flavors to come through. It's okay if you want some of the pulp to come through so that you get that flavor and that feel in your mouth. That's kind of up to you as the chef. But we're going to go ahead and kind of strain it out so that we have it ready to go. The passion fruit, because it's seedless, it's really already a nice liquid. I don't know if you can kind of see that in the camera or not, but it's already very liquidy, very smooth. But compared to our pineapple, obviously pineapple is a much more fibrous fruit, and it looks delicious because I love pineapple, but it's definitely got more of a chunky side to it. So we want to try just to get some of that out of there for us. So I've got an extra bowl here, which is a magnetized bottom. I always forget that. I try to pick it up or slide it. And I'm going to use my larger of the two sieves here. Just try to strain as much out of this as I can. Now, if you've ever strained pineapple or anything, take it slow because you can see it's not going through very well. So you have to take and press your spatula, just kind of press it through. This is probably, to me, probably the most time consuming part of it. I'm just following the directions that are in your recipe. So when you get your recipe, you'll know this is what we were doing. If you choose to just try to use the pulp in there, just make sure you probably process it really well, maybe as smooth as you can get it. I'm seeing some seeds in here, like the pineapple seeds in there. That's the kind of stuff I would probably want to get out of there. Whoops. But it's going to take me a good while to push this through because really what I'm trying to get is the juice out of it. I'm probably just going to I'm showing you, but I'm probably just going to run it the way it is so that we get enough of it done quickly for you. I did as best I could before. We were trying to give you all some time to find the link and get into the right spot so that you guys could find the video. So we had a little change in our venue that we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. So we're glad you finally made it. And sorry about the little hiccup there if you had to move over. So what's happening is you can kind of see, I'm just going to stick that over there. I've got kind of what's left in here is the heavier stuff, and what's coming out on my magnetized bowl is much more like a pineapple juice. Now, if you could find pineapple, 100% pure pineapple juice, that would be another thing you could also try to use this with. I particularly kind of like the pulp in my stuff. I don't know, I just, a sorbet, I've had a mango sorbet, and I prefer the mango sorbet when it's a little bit, actually has some of that fibrous part of the mango in it. You know you're eating a real mango at that point. So I don't mind it. I'm just going to kind of stir some of that through, just a little bit in there. See if we can get some more of this out of here. I'm just going to push it all through as fast as I can for us today. My main concern is pretty much those little dark seeds, just because, you know, appetizingly, you don't want to find something dark in your product. So if I could get those out, I'd be happy. I can see it right on top there, so I'm just going to stick it back in there for now. So stirring it and trying to get through. It's coming through. It's real slow. That's why I'm having to use the spatula just to press it through. If you guys have any questions throughout this, please don't hesitate to ask. If you've got any tricks of the trade that you'd like to share, we're totally open to that. This is an open forum, so feel free to pipe in, ask questions, give ideas, share ideas. That's what we're looking for here. This is not an end-all be-all. This is how you have to do it. You can take these recipes, modify them a little bit. The recipe you'll get is set for basically a small batch so that you might be making it at home. We've raised this to basically multiplied everything by 3 because we're going to do, we got a bigger batch freezer behind us that we're going to use, and it has to have a certain minimum to run. But yours at home, either your little countertop unit or one of those ones you pull out of the freezer and start mixing in, that is probably about a 1 liter. So that recipe that you've got that will be coming to you, that is going to be sufficient for what you need to do to try it out. If you like it that way, then next time you make it, make it the same way. Or if you want to change something, that's the time to change it and just do a little bit of, we call it R&D, research and development, to the point where you are happy with it. And you can see it's taken me a while to kind of push this through the sieve. I'm getting my juices down there. But we want to make sure this gets chilled because it's going to help the whole process. And so right now I'm just trying to get the seeds out if I see them. But it'll help the whole process of making the sorbet a little bit smoother and easier. Helps the machine freeze it up faster. Helps everything kind of blend together better. Well, also what we're going to do is we're going to be adding in a little bit of what we call it stabilizers here. You could make this basically without that at home because you're going to eat it and you're just going to take it out of your freezer and enjoy it at home. But if you're making it in a shop that you're going to have it shown for a couple of days in your display cabinet, you're going to need to put a stabilizer in it. So today we're using the Fructosa Milk Free from Pre-Gel, and that's basically has all the dextrose and Gower gum and things like that in it already, so that you can just measure it out, put it together, combine it. And the one reason we're going ahead and starting here is we want that to that process of chilling it and just sitting in the liquid to rehydrate all our powders and our stabilizers, start activating those in the product. So I'm straining this. I'm trying to get it out. I feel like there's still a lot of juice left in here. I left a little bit of my pulp in there. I don't want to waste this, that's for sure. But what we did was we followed the recipe and took the amount of pineapple, and according to the directions, it's going to tell you to push it through a sieve to get all the big chunks out. Now mine's pretty much pulverized into almost a real thick pineapple puree. Questions? Yes, thank you. Let me see. What size mesh? This is probably in diameter. I've got a 12 or 14 inch diameter, but it's a very fine mesh. I don't know if the number on this one, it's not written on it. It's made by Chef Mate, if that helps you. But it's a fine mesh sieve. You can, this one kind of, maybe see that one. It's to me, it's a traditional one that I'm familiar with, having them growing up with. I'm sure they make different, there's the bigger hole ones but that's what, again, would also depend on how much of that pineapple pulp you want in your sorbet. Yeah, will the stabilizer be type B in the recipe? No, I don't believe that is in there. Actually, it is. It's called Fructosa. It does say Fructosa in the recipe. I've got the recipe over here pulled up just so I can answer questions about it. But it says Fructosa. It is a combination of, like I said, dextrose, gaur gum. Right here, it's, let's see, some fatty acids, maltodextrins, methyl cellulose, those types of things that are in there for stabilizing purposes only. So that's what, it's a great stabilizer for sorbets. That's kind of why we tend to use it a lot. But if you look up, Pre-Gel is kind of an Italian company that sells out of North Carolina here, but you can probably find stabilizers, sorbet stabilizers on Amazon, things like that. So just, and you might have to try a couple, you know, it won't hurt to try a couple different ones, make it one way with one, make it another way with another, and see which one you like. But again, if you're making this at home, I wouldn't probably even worry about the stabilizer. We're putting it in because we're going to put it in a dipping cabinet. All right, I think I've got as much out of this as I possibly can. My sieve is really kind of needs just a cleaning. So I'm going to stick it over there. So I've got a nice thick pineapple juice. I've got, like I said, I add a little bit of that pulp in there. That's, again, my preference. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to basically blend the, I'm going to combine the pineapple juice and the passion fruit pulp, the whisk here. Just put those together. And passion fruit is a new flavor friend of mine. I had not really played around with it for the last couple of years. And I think one of the best, I'm kind of curious how this is going to turn out because I love pineapple. So, and I'm starting to like passion fruit too. So I'm anxious to see how this one turns out. But I think one of the flavor combinations from heaven is mango and passion fruit. I think, because I don't want that to clot up in there, kind of agitate it good while it's going in. Very, very fine, this stabilizer. And as far as salt goes, you know, the salt is just basically a couple grams for this amount. Basically, it's not even a gram for the recipe that you're going to get. So literally just like a pinch of salt is all you really need. For this one, I'm just going to do a couple pinches. That way, if you have any, you kind of know what you're looking at when you get it. I'm going to go ahead and transfer it to my pitcher. One, you can see it. Two, it's easier to transport and put in the freezer real quick, and then we'll pour it right into our batch freezer. Sorbets are a great alternative, and it's kind of one reason we're featuring a sorbet today, because it is the common alternative to a dairy-free option. So if you have a shop, I can tell you from experience that a lot of customers are very excited to come in and have a dairy-free option. They're even more excited when there's something in the cabinet that's not a sorbet. So sorbets are a great standby. If you don't have at least one sorbet in your cabinet, you're not really meeting the demand of your customers and meeting your whole population, because you want to make sure you're serving as many people as you possibly can. There might be allergies out there that you know you're wanting to basically tend to, so that's always a good thing. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll come back to that here in just a minute when we get over to our other. I'm going to pull that over here today. There's not a lot. I can just move it over to this table. Let me go ahead and put this step away from the camera. Handles that a little bit too. The pea protein is a great base because you can flavor it pretty much any way you do ice cream. Now, coconut is not that case for me. Coconut, I'm a very coconut flavor, or I want to complement it. I want to work along with it. So I might make a mango ice cream, not maybe even adding a mango swirl. That still make this mango. You'll still taste the coconut in it. I've tried a vanilla, basically a stracciatella with the coconut. I added vanilla to it. Still, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but I still picked up on the coconut. So, and actually had customers enjoy that one as much because they could eat it and still have the vegan dairy-free chocolate that I added in it to it as well. So it was a great complement to put together. So experiment is what I'm saying. Play with what you've got access to. You can probably look up recipes online for dairy-free if you're doing this at home. I have found several books. I've made some that use a soy base. I've made some that use an almond milk base. I've used an oat milk base. What else? I've used coconut base, pea protein, and yeah, I think I covered them all that I've used. They're all great. Out of the ones I've made, I preferred at home, I preferred the soy. The oat milk is another one that's hard to work with. You have to complement that oat flavor that's coming through. If you're familiar with oat milk, it's got a really strong kind of earthy flavor. So you want to complement that with something that's going to go with oats. The almond milk is a little bit more forgiving when it comes to putting flavors together. But again, it's a nut allergy, so it is a nut milk. So if you have a nut allergy, then almond milk is not the way to go. The coconut for our large production facility, if we're using, making ice cream out of a batch freezer, this Meadowvale coconut base or their pea protein are, to me, the top two choices out there these days. I prefer the pea protein out of the two. This one is very expensive, I'm not going to lie. Right now, I think it's running over 120 a case, about for 5 gallons. So it's a very expensive product to use. So just if you go into a spot that has offering coconut and you see a little price difference, that's why. They need to make that up a little bit. If you're trying to do this at home, research coconut milk-based dairy. See if you can make your own coconut milk at home using coconut cream. I think I've actually done that as well. But I preferred the soy, the pea protein, and this one out of my choices. All right, so we have measured out about 3 liters here of this coconut base. It does come out from Meadowvale quite thick. It does have a very short shelf life in the bag. Once it's opened, it needs to be used. And if you don't really mix it up very well before you even pour it out of the bag, you're going to have a hard time getting it out of the bag. It becomes very clumpy. So you want to really, if you're familiar with those bags I've showed you before on this class, you need to just really massage that bag very well before you start to even pour it. And even this, I'm going to take over here. I'm just going to put it through my immersion blender just a little bit to make sure everything's put back together, because it's been sitting in a bag, frozen, and then it's been thawed out. Same thing would go at home if you're mixing like coconut milk or coconut cream from a can, and you got to put everything together. Mix it really well before you do that. Okay. Let me go ahead over here and just mix this up just real quick, and before we start processing it to add our mango sorbet in, our mango swirl, I should say. Okay, that wasn't too long. I didn't want to do it very long on that. Just wanted to make sure I got it kind of pulverized or reconstituted, might be the right word. It's already been chilled because we took it out of the refrigerator, so this is actually already cold. We've already made our mango puree. So we took our mangoes and we added the lime juice, for this case, 45 grams of lime juice. For you, if you're making a small batch at home, about 15 grams, and a little bit of sugar, because I tasted it after I blended the lime juice in. Really wasn't quite as sweet as I would like it, so I added some sugar to it just to kind of make it a little bit more sweeter. So when you're biting into that coconut and the mango, you're getting a little bit sweeter. We would normally, this stuff is cold, but if you're still making it home and you're learning this, you might want to just chill it off in the refrigerator for just a little bit longer before you start processing it, to make sure. Sometimes they tell you, especially on your dairy bases you make at home, they tell you to go ahead and sit them in the refrigerator and let them kind of just mix a little bit, rehydrate together, mix together. So we're going to take this, we're going to churn this, which means we're going to put it into our ice cream maker, and we're going to process this just as a coconut ice cream. So I didn't add any flavor to this because it's got plenty of coconut flavor, because we're doing a coconut mango ice cream. So I should say frozen dessert. Cannot call this ice cream. It is legally not ice cream. It does not have any dairy in it. So we have to call it a frozen dessert. So I'm going to come back here. I've already sanitized my machine. I'm just going to put our bucket back under here. I just have a really strong habit of putting a bucket under there just in case something does open up or not been closed correctly. This is our ready machine, and we're going to go ahead and add this in. And again, it's already been sanitized. You want to sanitize your machines prior to using every day. I don't know if you can see this when I'm pouring it in here, but it's thick, kind of creamy. That's one good thing about both this one and the pea protein. When you get that mouth feel at the end and you're serving it, you're eating it, you're enjoying it, it literally feels like ice cream in your mouth. And I think that's one of the winning qualities of both of these, the pea protein and the coconut, because you get that same creamy feel that you should get from a frozen treat that you're trying to satisfy that urge. Because those people that are allergic to things and trying to stay away or stay away from dairy, they still love the consistency and the mouthfeel of ice cream. I mean, we grow up with ice cream, and sometimes we don't really realize our allergies and our diversions to milk until we get older. So we're already kind of on the ice cream train, and it's hard to find something that will satisfy that same feeling. Because sorbets are great, but I get this complaint or compliment, however I want to take it, in our shop quite often that people come in, they're so happy to see a choice, something like this, and I give them a little sample, and they just fall in love with it because it satisfies that creamy mouthfeel they're looking for, and they don't have to resort to a sorbet. Now, granted, if you don't have the option to get this kind of stuff, then add a sorbet at least to your menu so that they can enjoy a sorbet if they come in something cool and refreshing on a hot day. All right, so I got all that in to our machine. Oops, I've got a little bit too much more on our ramp here. Before I turn it on, I'm gonna just push that down in there. Not sticking the spatula all the way down there, even though it's off. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and run this out. So I'm gonna get this started. That should work for us there. So again, my bucket didn't have to be used, which is the good thing. And I have a tray cooling down in the freezer. So I am going to grab that closer to the time of that being done. Now is really what we're going to do when this comes out is we're going to use this mango sorbet, and we're just going to gently fold it in so you kind of get a nice swirl of mango. Still want that coconut. We're not trying to make a mango ice cream by just putting this in and stirring it up as it comes out. We're going to gently fold this in so that you get a coconut frozen dessert with a mango swirl. And we've also got some toasted coconut as well. In your directions or recipe, it says that you can kind of throw that in. I've got it down here. Throw that into your mix at the last 45 seconds or so, to avoid it going in my machine. Although this machine could take this little bit of coconut we're going to put in, I'm not going to put it all in until the end, because I got to rinse it to put my sorbet in, and that's just a little bit extra work that I have to do for you, and I don't want to take your time to do that. So, any other questions that we can put in here? What a mixer. Thank you. I'm a mixer. The toasted coconut, by the way, was organic coconut, unsweetened. And all I did was take a little bit of that. And in this case, I used a light amount. Probably the recipe could call for 3 times as much as what I use, but I'm going to just kind of stay light on it. But I toasted it in just a little pan over medium heat, stirring it pretty much all the time. And it didn't take long at all. And it got a nice toasty look to it. All right. Any other questions? I'm always open for questions because when this machine's running, I've already got everything prepared. I'm pretty much ready to go. The sorbet, all we're doing with that one is chilling it off. We've got it all mixed up. So now what we're going to do after this is the time that we'll pull this out, get it mixed in, folded, freeze that in our hardening cabinet for a little while. while we run our sorbet. We'll have to clean the machine after this so that we don't have any coconut cream in our sorbet. Do we need to pasteurize the mix? Okay, so no, this would be, there is no dairy in it, so we do not have to heat treat or anything on that. I have, trying to think back, it's been a couple years since I've actually made a homemade coconut base, because once I found this base, if I want coconut base, this is where I go to. But I'm trying to think what we did on that was, there was a couple, I think we used a couple cans of coconut cream, and there was no heating of it. You just mixed it all up. I do remember, I think, cooling it down for a little while. There are just lots of books out there. There are dairy-free options that are offering recipes, starting point recipes for you to start to use. A lot of those recipe books will have the base that they like towards the front of the book, and then they'll get into all the ways they flavor and add to it as they go. How cold is our hardening cabinet? This one gets to, I believe, -25 degrees, if I remember correctly. And it's basically a freezer that drops a little colder, a little faster than a regular freezer. So we have a chest freezer in our store. We also have a hardening cabinet, but we have a chest freezer. So chest freezer is about, I think last time I measured it, -21. I haven't looked at my measurements in a while. All I know is it's still freezing. And so that one is about -21 in there when we're storing it. And our hardening cabinet, we've got a lab freezer that we use as a hardening cabinet, so it drops to a -113 degrees Fahrenheit or -85 degrees Celsius. So it snows in there. So it's pretty, I had just literally shoveled it out the other day, had to clean it all off. So we only keep the ice cream in there for a few hours to harden it off. The reason you're doing that is you're taking your product and you're freezing it as fast as you can to make those ice crystals smaller so you get a smoother, creamier milk feel. So that's why when they say, when you're at home and you're doing those little ice cream, I wish we kind of had one of those little ice cream makers maybe, that you're processing that ice cream at home, and they say take it and stick it in the freezer overnight. That's what they're trying to get you to do, not just enjoy it right then. You certainly could, but it's more like a soft serve. But if you take it and you freeze it right away in your freezer or overnight, then you're going to have a better feel to it, or better mouth feel to it when you start to eat it the next day. I'm not a good one for making it at home because I don't like to wait. I got spoiled by the machines that can make it in 7 to 12 minutes. So that's where I kind of tend to since I have one, if I'm going to make some ice cream, I just make it that way. So don't some of the gums in the base need to be hydrated with heat? Not for this. This is a called cold process. So there is a recipe on here for basically you use if you're making a little bit different recipe, we have like a base recipe, and then you could flavor it with one of their frutos, which is a fruit paste, or something like that. We chose to go a little bit more on the natural side. There's all sorts of ranges when you're making sorbets. You can use the fridge, like I said, you can make it without any stabilizer. You can make it with something like the milk-free fructosa. But you choose what you want and how you want to do it. But no, normally for these, the cold process, no, all that stuff's kind of been done for you. The rehydration part is what you're doing when you add the water and the liquids to it to rehydrate the dry ingredients in there and let them sit in the chill down a little bit. We do a stabilizer in our Italian ice, and it comes in a powder form. We let that sit. Actually, with better results if we let that sit overnight. But as long as it sits for maybe half hour, 45 minutes, we can still run it. It'll be fine. We just tend to sometimes go ahead and let it sit overnight. And that way, we just put it in our production for the next day. Good question. There is a heat process and a cold process. All right, so this says extract. So let me grab my pan. Wish this was over here. A little closer. All right, and I'm going to grab, actually, I'll have one of these over here. So I've got my mango sorbet, got my toasted coconut, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that in the bottom. Put a little bit of my mango along the bottom because I want to make sure that my last scoopers enjoyers get some. And so I'm going to go into the extract side things here. And you can see it's coming out very thick. So what I want to do is go ahead and pop that up. Try to come out a little bit faster. And I'm going to go ahead and close that door up, because what I want to do is I've got it down here in my pan. I've got some mango under it, but I'm going to go ahead and add some mango down into the crevices here. And it's a little thicker than I'm used to mine coming out, but that's okay. We can work with it. I'm just going to push that down in so we can add some more to it. It makes a very thick, creamy product. Again, I'm just kind of putting some more mango in there. There's not much that I can swirl in because it is so thick. And I'm just basically cutting that mango down into the coconut. I'll show you a little bit of that in the table too here. Because I have some crevices, I'm going to go ahead and just throw some of that coconut back in there. All right, so I think we're got about everything we're going to get out. There's a smaller batch, so it didn't take quite as long. So what I did was just, you can kind of see the mango and the coconut are mixed into this. I just made a small batch today. So we're going to try to go ahead and just kind of smooth that out a little bit. And we will bring the mango puree and just kind of let it drizzle over the top of that. We'll clean off our sides. This. And if you got extra, you can always make more batches and stuff like that. You can put more in it if you want. Now we're going to take our toasted coconut, which is back here. Just do a little sprinkle on top for the looks. I'm going to wipe off my side here. Now, again, I made a small batch in this. I've got a 5-liter tray. I've got only put 3 liters in. One of the things you'll notice between the dairy base that we usually use and this is you do not get the high overrun of an ice cream. It's a very dense product. Now, we made it in a gelato, basically using a low overrun beater on top of that. So what we got was a very dense, almost more of a coconut gelato type of frozen dessert. Again, I don't want to say ice cream. And I can't really even call it gelato. So it's a frozen dessert, but it's got the coconut mixed in. It's got some mango mixed in, and then I just took and topped it off with a little bit of mango on top. So what I'm going to do is just harden that off in our freezer over here. We'll then work on rinsing our machine out. Great time for questions again. And then I will grab, while I'm over there, I'm going to grab the sorbet base and bring it over here so we're ready to go. With that, all right, so let's work on getting our machine cleaned up here. Let's see, I'm gonna run, I've got a little spigot here on the side. Just run some water in here for now. How long will the ice cream last? I think is what a question I see over there. That depends on how much you eat it and how fast you eat it. No, basically, it with that stuff in there, we keep frozen desserts. It probably you want to see it moving. You know, if you don't see something like that moving in your case, or you're not enjoying it, then that's not the right one. But you want to see it moving, and so it should not be in there probably more than a week. If I was having if I had an air cooled case like a gelato case where it's blowing air over it, I might not be able to keep it that long because it's going to dry out a lot faster. On a cold plate freezer, sort of like your common ice cream dipping cabinet, we can keep ours pretty much a week or two sometimes. But I like to see those non-dairies moving a little faster than that. And if you're doing it right, like I said, if you're doing it right, then it is moving and you don't have to really worry about the fact that it's still sitting in there. If I see one sitting in there for a while, a little longer than that, I basically take it out and just decide in my head that that's probably not a good combination, a good flavor that we're going to use on that. So let's go into cleaning this. Let's get a hot clean going. All right. So got a hot clean on that. So because it's so thick in there, I want to go ahead and let the barrel inside warm that up a little bit, warm that water up, and see if we can get some of that coconut base out of there. Usually this machine extracts pretty clean, but with that coconut base being so thick, it probably still had quite a bit left in there. And again, when your production schedule, if you're doing this at home and you have even your home-based little ice cream maker, you freeze it a lot. Sometimes you have to use the 24-hour process, and that 24-hour process, I always say, if you're going to buy one of those, order a second. Sometimes they come with them, I think, but order a second freezing unit that you can put in the freezer that you can make a couple batches back to back. Otherwise, you're waiting because you have to wash that after it's done, wipe it down, refreeze it before you can run your next batch. Some of the higher end home units that you might come across, they actually have a compressor inside of them, and you can do something a little bit different with that, very similar to this, just on a much smaller scale. All right, so let's see if we got rinsed out there pretty good. I'm going to, I don't have any spray out here, do I, Lynn? All right, so I might have put more water in my barrel than I have space in my bucket, so I'm just going to be careful I don't overfill it. You have a batch freezer like this, and you have a window in it. You don't want to open this until you see that all the way, until you see that water get to about halfway on the window. Otherwise, you'll have it everywhere. Trust me, I've done that enough. You knew I'd say that. That's right. All right, so still see quite a bit in there. I'm going to go ahead and try to give it a rinse this way. Watching my bucket level. Might have to stop and get another bucket. Not that coconut won't go with pineapple and passion fruit, but we don't want that really in our sorbet. I'm just going to use our little dirty coconut bucket here too. And don't forget your door. Your door has quite a bit on it. I probably have to rack that. Now, some states don't want you doing even this, opening it up, but that is up to you to check with your health department. If you did this, you might have to come back and re-sanitize and do everything else that way. We're okay here. We're just using a sanitized spatula. I'm using a gloved hand. So they get a little picky about even letting air come into it. But I always say, I don't understand that because if I open this, I'm introducing air into the chamber. So it's not really that big a deal to me. There's a good chunk stuck to the beater on the bottom. So let me get give this another, I'm going to do another rinse. That's why I say when you're, and I think I started to talk about this and I got distracted, but when you're doing your production schedule, this is the kind of thing you want to pay attention to. Running the sorbet first would be primary, right? Because you don't have to deal with this, and this would be the last thing you ran for the day because you're dealing with coconut and heavy dairy. So I'm going to run this one more time. It's pretty much clean, but just want to make sure that we get it a little cleaner, okay? Do you need to disinfect the machine between dairy and non-dairy batches? Technically, hold on a second, my water time must ran out. Technically, what I do for that is I run my non-dairy, especially if I'm running pea protein, which is the majority of what I use, just because, again, I find that to be the most forgiving for flavor, and I can make pretty much any of my normal flavors with that. And it really, the only thing I try to do on that is I try to use gluten-free inclusions like cookies and things that are gluten-free, because generally those people that are looking for dairy-free also are looking for gluten-free. So I try to match that up. It's not always happens, but I try. So when I do that, I'm trying to make sure that if I'm using the pea protein, there's no major allergens in that, and I can go right into dairy. Now, if I was going to dairy into allergen, yes, I'm going to rinse, I'm going to sanitize, and there might, depending on how my production, I might even take it apart, wash everything. And I just did this a couple weeks ago. Not that I wanted to, intended to do it, but I ended up having to do it. Yes, that would be great. I only have these couple rags here. So yeah, a couple more rags. They brought me some cleaners I can wipe down the front. That'd be great. Thank you, Olivia. I'm gonna do another hot clean on that, and then we should be good to go. All right, so I'm just gonna give this a cleaning after we're done, just to kind of clear off the space of it so there's no coconut base on the outside of it when I'm doing my sorbet. Because again, if somebody is allergic to coconut, I wanna make sure I do that. So we're going to let this run down. Thank you, thank you. I got some Windex here. I'm going to use it in just a moment. And I do have my sanitizer down here, and I'm going to do one more run on it. Since you said that, just to show you, you can always run your sanitizer cycle through. And that will also help to take away any more of the coconut rinse that didn't get taken care of. Okay, now somebody can rinse or empty that. That'd be great. Let me run this as my sanitizer. Okay, once that's out of there, we'll be ready to go. Clear our space a little bit there. Any other questions that you have? What are people's favorite sorbets? Let's get some people to put some time in there about what's your favorite sorbet that you can remember. My son has fallen in love with mango sorbet, so that's kind of become one of my favorites as well too. Like I said, mango and passion fruit together. Whew. Nobody likes sorbets. That's what I'm getting. You like lemon? Olivia likes lemon. I love lemon sorbet too. Lemon Italian ice is always one of my favorites. And then I had vanilla. And the vanilla Italian ice, I was like, okay, now I might have a new favorite. Dragon fruit, yes. Yes, I haven't done a dragon fruit one. I need to. That's a beautiful color too. Strawberry, oh yeah, can't go wrong with strawberry. We do a strawberry Italian ice. It's really good. Strawberry sorbet. Turns out nice. Lemon, yep. Those are always good ones. Lemon is a good staple. Like if you're going to have any sorbet in your shop, lemon is the go-to. But again, offering something a little bit different like that coconut base or a pea protein base is going to really draw in that crowd that can't eat normal ice cream, because then they get that mouthfeel like I talked about, right? Oh, watermelon, it's a good one, Felicia. Watermelon, just especially watermelon season. I have a watermelon Italian ice I just made. It's really good. And I made a watermelon ice cream too, just recently. All right, we are good to go now. All right, so again, we've got our pineapple passion fruit sorbet, and it's really, we've got the majority of the work done on it. And I get kind of sticky with having a bucket underneath this. So even if it's just something, I like to catch it all the time. All right, so we're good to go here. So we're just going to pour this in and we're going to run it through. This has a sorbetto setting. So we're going to stick that in there, hit that setting and let it take off. Let's see, this is my pineapple passion fruit spatula. All righty. I can smell this one. This is right up my alley right here. Okay, let's see. There we go. Go down to sorbetto. Okay, off she goes. Now we'll go ahead and move that. We're okay now. All right. Yes, if it's made well, a chocolate sorbet is delicious. I had not had one. I've made one before, and it was, I think I named it, no doubt it's chocolate, because it was so rich and thick and just creamy at the same time. It was a sorbet, and you're like, how can this be a sorbet? It's dairy free. I'm like, this is crazy. And it was delicious. So chocolate is a great sorbet to have if you can make it. You've got to make it right, like you said. Watermelon ice cream recipe. Actually, that'd been a good one to do for our summer series, wouldn't it? I don't know how many are out there familiar with Friendly's ice cream. Growing up in I grew up in Ohio, and we had Friendly's all the time. But one of my very favorite summertime treats was a watermelon log or slice or whatever. So it's basically a watermelon sorbet with chocolate chips and a lime sorbet outer ring. And so the combination of the lime and the water, it looked like a watermelon slice when you cut it open, because you had the chocolate chips, you had the watermelon, and you had the lemon. It's perfect. So they're hard to find. I found them down here in North Carolina a couple times, and I indulge because I love it. You can sit there and eat a whole one. So that was my inspiration for the watermelon ice cream. I took some chocolate chips and put it into a watermelon ice cream. And the watermelon base, I just flavored it with flavoring from Itoberco. It's already natural coloring, natural flavoring that I added to it. It's just trying it out. But it was it's one of their brand new flavors, and it was really hard to taste at the beginning. I had my son there working, and he's tasted it. I said, what is this? Because I didn't tell him what it was. He tasted it, and he's like, he guessed all around it, different places. And finally I told him, and he says, oh, okay, it's there. It's kind of faint. When it finished coming out of the machine, it tasted like fresh watermelon. It was like magic in the machine that took. I don't know. Add a little bit of malic acid, just a little tiny little bit, to make that flavor pop, and that might have been what it did, but it was really good. I love watermelon flavor stuff, and just mixing that with a little bit of chocolate chips like seeds is just one of my favorite summertime treats. I love watermelon milkshakes. I can't eat watermelon straight up because I'm allergic to the melon family, but for some reason, with the dairy in it, I can eat it together like that. So that's why I indulge in the summer when I can. Is the machine you are using specifically for sorbet? No. We can make ice cream. This is a ready machine, so I can heat treat things in here. I can freeze them. It's got a bunch of settings on that little screen. I don't know if you can see it, but the screen there at the top tells you whether you're picking a gelato, a sorbeto. This one, I'm not sure if it has the granita setting on it, but ice cream, sorbeto, gelato. If you're doing a chocolate sauce in here that you need to melt the chocolates and heat it up, you can do it in this machine. Yeah, this is a kind of handy dandy machine of all sorts here. This is really a good model to have because it does both. So no, this just happens to be a setting that's programmed within the computer behind the scenes that it knows it's going to do a sorbet. So it's got a kind of like a preset to make sure that sorbet comes out the way it should. So you can also do the old physical eye check to see if it's freezing up and mixing by looking down in the chamber. But generally, I trust the machines to do what they do. That's one nice thing. It alleviates the chef or your production person to get other stuff done. Like I would not be standing here talking to you. I would be working on my next production or doing some cleanup or washing my dishes or doing something like that while the machine does its thing. When it beeps, it's ready. I'm going to be pulling out my tray and getting ready to dispense my sorbeto. So that's a good question. But yes, we can make regular ice cream, gelato, sorbeto, all sorts of things in this. Now, if I use a low overrun beater, which is in here, it's for ice cream, it just gives a more closer resemblance to gelato. Gelato and ice cream are not the same. There's a different cream and milk factors to those. So I can make an ice cream in here using the low overrun, just makes it more denser, literally less overrun. If you don't know what I'm talking about, overrun is basically the amount of air that I'm putting into the product through the machine. And if you think about the old time ice cream machines that you would turn, or you have a motorized one and it just turns in there for you, what it's doing is it's incorporating that air into your product. And so that's where you get that. You go from 1 quart to 6 quarts or three quarts to 6 quarts, whatever your ice cream machine is. And they say only fill it up to a certain point because by the time you put that air in it, it expands, right? So when we think about our last batch with that coconut cream coming out and using a low overrun and using a low overrun beater and using a dairy-free, it's a lot thicker and heavier and denser. It doesn't give us the overrun that we would love to have from a product. So that's why it becomes a little bit more expensive, like I said, as well. So if that machine heats too, it can be used as a combo machine, but with a single chamber, yes. So everything's done in this single chamber. So if there's a button here in the middle that does a cold and hot or a hot and cold processing. So if you needed to heat something up, small batch, you're doing a heat treatment on a dairy base, it can literally run that through and then chill it down. So it'll heat up and then it chills down. Or you could just do the heat button on this one, so solid red, that's just going to be nothing but heat. So there's certain things that every time I hit one of those buttons, I get a certain selection on the menu of things I can do on there. Is there a countertop one? Well, the Ready countertop unit, it's basically about that wide and could sit on this, could probably be about that tall. So this would be your counter. That's called a Ready Chef. And that's just a tiny little thing, but it can do, that thing, that's like an employee, literally an employee. All right, we're beeping. Let me run and get my tray. Pan. All right, and you notice there too, it kicked back on because I wasn't getting it to it fast enough because it was still stirring. It was introducing a little bit of friction and heat in that and says, okay, wait a minute, he's not here yet. Let me turn the compressor back on, cool it back down because he might not get to it right away. Another great feature of these machines. I did not have that on an old machine I used, and I had this whole thing freeze up. Conk. I mean, you hear it go, conk. And you now have to take everything apart and scoop out the ice cream. That's what I love about these. You don't have to do that. All right, so it says extract. Let's extract. So we got a slow extracting on this. It's a real creamy sorbet. Ooh, it looks so good. But I'm going to pop that up to get it out a little faster. My mouth is watering. And I always amazed at when with this sorbeto comes out, and I've had something, I'm especially using this milk free, it really comes out like almost a nice creamy consistency that I'm so used to. I'm started our business started with Italian ice, and so I'm used to more of a grainy texture to everything. And so when I make these sorbets using this milk free, it just amazes me how creamy, look smooth it comes out. And you know, another thing to keep in mind is this is already kind of a beautiful color of yellow, warm, creamy yellow. And if you're making your own product, try to use as much natural coloring as you can, you know, natto or turmeric. But this one I didn't have to because the fruits are providing that natural color. If you needed something to be a little bit more poppy, you know, you could still do this, but then maybe just add just a splash of turmeric or a natto to give it a different color. And I'm just kind of molding it to look a little prettier. I'll wipe off our side here. And I need to get the other one out, I guess, and give it a taste. I just remembered I forgot to taste it. But this one, oh man, I wish you were here. We could share. That's a winner. I'll be taking this with me today. That I love passion fruit combos. I think that's the bomb. So if you haven't experimented with passion fruit yet, I certainly encourage you. It's kind of a hidden fruit, I guess, for me. It was, and I'm loving it with the pineapple and the mango. That is really good. Let me grab the pineapple or the mango coconut, see how it froze up. Show you a little bit of that. Gelato spade. Let me grab a gelato spade real quick. All right, so this is wanted to kind of show you too, is if we look at the outside of this, it's a little hard to see, but you can kind of hear it, right? It's kind of got a nice crust to it, and that's what your hardening cabinet for your gelato is going to do. And then you can cut in from the back. I'm just going to kind of loosen it like you might a casserole in a dish there a little bit. And you can cut in off the back. And once you cut through that top crusty layer a little bit, now you've got kind of a more ice cream feel to it. Let me grab, there's my other taster. I knew I had one out here. So then you can get into more of it. You can kind of see it's kind of creamy in there. Okay. I'm getting a nice combination of the mango, kind of nicely covering up a lot of that coconut, which, like I said, I'm good with. But then I feel that the coconut comes in at the end. So it's a nice sweet flavor on the front with the coconut finish. That turned out pretty nice. This is my favorite of the two, I'm not going to lie. But again, I just love the creaminess of something like this too. So another thing is your sorbets can scoop with either. So if you have one of these ice cream scoops and you can kind of scoop it with that, you can get a nice scoop of sorbet with this. I kind of tend to use the dippers like this in our shops more than we use the gelato spades, but you could use the gelato spade on the sorbet as well. That's what's kind of nice about this. If you're serving gelato, you should spade it using a spade, not a scoop. All right, any last minute questions? Because I want to let you go. It's a little bit over time, but I'm sorry it took a little more of your time. Let me see if I caught all the questions. Can the old hand crank machines make good ice cream too? Absolutely. You know, that's where we all started, right? If you weren't making a good ice cream back then, you can do it that way. I've done it home. I have a hand crank. No, I have a motorized one at home that I use, and sometimes I'll do some R&D with that just to kind of see what I could do. If I use especially a non-dairy base that I'm not making a big batch of it, I'll make that at home in that machine just to kind of see, and then I freeze it up and then try it that way. It's going to be a little different, but than maybe a batch freezer like this could do. But still, you get a really good idea of the taste. After production and cleanup time, do you have to disassemble it to take out the O-rings and other parts to be cleaned manually, or does it totally self-clean? I wish it totally self-cleaned. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But no, yes, you do have to always take everything apart. It is not that cumbersome, though. Really, you have this 2 pieces here, which are easy to wash. You have a washer around this door. You have a washer inside, and then you pull out your beater. And the low overrun beater has a few more pieces to it than a high overrun. We have a high overrun beater. I can show you what the difference is there. High overrun beater is very simple. It looks like this with the basically acetate, plastic, whatever, scrapers. Very easy to clean. And your low overrun beater will have some scrapers that come out, and you just need to clean those well before you put it back together. But it's not hard at all. I do this so many times. I can get it down within, I can pretty much clean the machine in 15 minutes, so it's not that bad. Anything else? Let's see. Are there in-person classes? Yes, in-person classes. We have a Frozen Dessert University here, and that's literally what I'm in. And we are having our next class in October. And so you can check on the carpigiani.com website and look for our, what is it under there, Olivia? It's FDU, is it literally Frozen Dessert University? FrozenDessertUniversity.com, and you'll see the list of classes available. There is one coming up right here in High Point in October. So that's our first level course, which goes over it, and you get to do the hands-on with the machine. You get to do the hands-on with this type of thing here with us. We go over this high overrun versus low overrun. You get a lot of hands-on practice every afternoon. So we also kind of give you the business and basics to setting up and running a business, ice cream business or gelato business. Great. How often do you need to replace the plastic blades on the beater? Well, that depends on how much you're using it. So if you're using a machine like this with this type of beater, and depending on how often you are running it and how long you're running it, these can last you a couple years. If you're looking at a low overrun beater, which I don't happen to have one I can grab real handy here, but it's got little scrapers on it, and those scrapers have to be replaced a little more often because they're on springs and they can go in and out, and they don't want those to wear down because that's what's really hitting. They're a little thinner than these thick pieces that are on here, so they just need to replace a little bit more often. All right, anything else? Okay, I think I answered all the questions. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it. We encourage you to come back next month. When is our next one, Miss Olivia? I always have to check too myself because I'm like, that's okay. This is August, so we're looking for September, right? September 22nd. And we are making what? Oh, we're doing some gelato. So we'll use the low overrun beater again. We'll be making gelato, and we hope you sign up for that one. So if you're still interested in getting maybe some more flavor ideas or just learning a little bit more about gelato, come to that show on September 22nd. Same time, 11 o'clock, and look for the links. They'll probably be in the recipe email that they send you, so you can sign up for the next one. If not, go to FrozenDessertUniversity.com, and the class will be on there as well, probably times in that. And if not, we'll see you in October in person right here, and you get to see me because I'll be here. So we appreciate all your time today and welcome you back next month. Have a great one.